Hello once again, everybody. Welcome to the Mario Cristobal Show, presented by Kia. Joe Zagacki alongside my broadcast partner, Don Bailey Jr. And this week, the Hurricanes are home against Georgia Tech for an 8 o'clock kickoff. First of all, great to be back in action, looking for a great crowd against a worthy opponent coming off a tough loss.
Yeah, they are coming off a tough loss, but it's 8 o'clock at the Rock, Joe. It's a night game. Miami starts their ACC schedule, and everybody should be out in full force.
You know, Georgia Tech has been a real thorn to the University of Miami since coming into the ACC. And I think a quick start is mandatory for Miami, but they have to have a healthy respect for this opponent who has a very good quarterback, really good passing game, a defense that is struggling but does have some playmakers.
I think the worst thing that you can do if you're the University of Miami is look back and say, well, they lost to Bowling Green. That's not the team that I was anticipating to lose from Bowling Green. When I watched them against Wake Forest, they were tough, and they beat Wake Forest badly at Wake Forest. They were at Ole Miss. That was a tough game as well. Gave Louisville everything they can handle. So, and a Georgia Tech team that's on their game can be very, very difficult.
Okay, we'll talk with University of Miami head coach Mario Cristobal as we continue on the show right after this. Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to the Mario Cristobal Show, presented by Kia. Joe Zagacki alongside Don Bailey Jr. and University of Miami head coach Mario Cristobal. Back in action this week, 8 o'clock game, Hard Rock Stadium, after a 1 week hiatus because of the bye week. Seemed like a year. Great to have it back. Coach, how was the bye week? How did you use it?
Bye week was productive. Certainly, we did catch up on some rest, but we got a lot of work done. You know, we assessed our systems, did a lot of self-scouting, and then got a lot of guys on the field. You know, tweaked some things, made some additions schematically that we think could help us as we head into conference play, and started to generate some more substitution rotational packages. You know, getting more guys, fast guys, explosive guys on the field to help us play at a higher level.
Coach, give us an overview of self-scouting. Not everybody knows what that is or what it entails.
You assess everything from A to Z that you do. And I'm talking about like what you do during the games. We always assess what we do in our processes outside of the games, but everything regarding down and distance, personnel, field zones, tendencies, as it relates to any front, stunt, blitz, coverage, formation, pattern, run game scheme, RPO, quick game. You take a deep dive into that and what you are doing out of what, right? So that you don't have tells. So people don't say, okay, when they line up in 12 personnel and they move the tight end over here, they're, for the most part, 80% of the time they're doing blank, right? We want to make sure that we're hard to figure out, that we can do a lot of different things from the same look. So you can't say and zero in on, hey, that particular formation means this. We want to be very diverse.
Along those lines, what have you figured out about the personality of your team, things that you and your staff like about what you've seen in the first 4 weeks?
Just like the appetite of our guys to go get better. That's what really stands out, our guys. It's a recurring theme. It's the talk of the locker room. We just want to get better. You know, we know that we can be a good football team. We've made a lot of progress. All focus is on one team, us, University of Miami, and the other team is the team that we're playing. And right now, the most important game of the year is this Saturday in Georgia Tech. So we think that the leadership on the team is growing. We think that the players are doing a better job holding themselves accountable, and that they understand how important it is to practice really, really hard throughout the course of the week so that that becomes our game reality.
Coach, you teach football, you teach technique, you teach life, but you teach a lot of leadership too. I mean, you depend heavily on your leadership council, but it's really a part of your daily process is teaching all these young men how to eventually be leaders.
Well, you know, we teach, but we also learn. I mean, every single day I learn something that I could take back home to my kids, right? You know, they're 13 and 12, and they're a handful. I mean, they're harder than anybody else to coach. But aside from that is the guys here, when you sit down and you have just open, transparent dialogue, just honest conversation, and it's all geared towards just getting better and to honestly help people get better and to bring people along. And at the same time, you know, there comes some hardline business decisions that come with being on the leadership council and whatnot. So you see that leadership just growing because their opportunities to step up and speak are here, and they are here now. And what our players are understanding that if we want to win and we want to win consistently, they have to do that. You can't sidestep that. you can only go so far by a coach or with a coach-driven team. At some point in time, the players have to take over, and things are starting to happen that lead us to feel really strongly that that's going to be a reality as well.
Coach, some of that proved we didn't have really a chance to talk about this yet, but we go back 2 weeks. You did go on the road in a tough weather day, not a great environment, but your team, very businesslike and methodical, took Temple apart, 41-7 victory, and did a lot of really good things in that game.
Well, it was the first time on the road, and there were some good things and things that we talked about. When we come off the road, when we come off a home win, we sit down and we talk about every aspect, the preparation, things leading up to it, from the walkthrough to the meal that we had, to the hype video, to the practice and preparation, the things we saw. The scout team, that's always a huge part of our conversations now. They're the heart and soul of our preparation. So, but we feel that, again, we have made progress. We have been able to take another step in cutting out distractions, noise, anything that is not related to playing winning football. So more progress to be made, but certainly we've made a good amount in the meantime.
Coach, a position group that has quietly been very, very helpful with this offense, especially in a running game that is hugely successful, is your tight end group. McCormick and Williams, and kind of unleashed Williams a little bit against Temple, and looks like he doesn't mind sticking his nose in there and getting it bloody.
Yeah, no, those are large human beings now. They're large guys, really athletic, tough, and really smart. And I used to be a tight ends coach, and I remember I was blown away by how much they have to learn. Mm-hmm. And the detail of what they have to do, right? You got to run routes like a wide receiver. You got to block like an offensive tackle, and you have to be in all special teams phases, right? There's a lot you got to do out of this formation, that formation, on the ball, off the ball, in motion. It's mind-boggling, and these guys, they take so much pride. Coach Whittle does a great job with them. I know Coach Crutchfield helps him out a bunch as well. He's in there involved. So all in all, that group continues to get better. And we look forward to getting a little bit healthier at that position and adding to it.
You are averaging 225 yards a game on the ground. Conversely, you're giving up about 40 yards a game. So when it comes to the ground battle, right now after the first 4 games, you are winning the ground battle.
We're getting better. We have to improve it massively in several areas. We have to continue improving our ability to knock people back. Continue to get movement on our double teams and get off to second level defenders and finish those blocks. We got to do a better job, holding our gaps, and using our hands and shedding blockers, on defense, making sure that we could, clog up those holes a little bit better and force bad down and distance situations for our opponents. So all in all, yeah, some progress, but we got a ton of work to do, and we got a ways to go to get better.
Coach Leonard Taylor did a great job at the Temple game, creating problems and getting in the backfield. Looks like he's getting into shape and finding his role in this new defense.
Yeah, he is. I think now it's all settling down. And when Leonard gets his feet in the ground, his cleats in the ground, I should say, that's when he becomes a dangerous player. And we're working our way there. And he, again, an awesome young man. Awesome young man. The best football is ahead of him. Getting better every week. And we expect some really big-time play from him here in the coming weeks.
Coach, Takori Couch has 3 interceptions in 4 games. He had 1 interception in his first, 40-plus games. What's been the difference for him this year?
Oh, a little bit of everything. A lot of experience, right? Those eyes have seen a lot. I just think the combination of Coach Adai, Coach Guidry, those guys, they really are elite teachers, but TC is an elite human being with a great skill set and a guy that's worked really hard, does a lot of extra work, does a lot of film study. Really, really smart, has a really bright future in football. And he is just getting after it. That's the bottom line. He doesn't care about credit. He doesn't care. He's just an awesome, awesome teammate. He's a great player. And he's starting to, maximize his potential. And he's seeing that. He's kind of just scratching the surface. He's another guy where his best football is coming up in the next few weeks.
Coach, running back by committee seems to be working pretty darn good. We talked about the rushing yards, but Parrish, who has an all-time high last week against Temple, and Chaney the week before that is averaging 10 yards a carry. How is this thing continuing to evolve?
Well, it's just like you said. It's who gets hot and who wants it most. I think they all want it. They've proven that. They've all had a share of toting the rock for us. And we got to keep that competition going. I mean, there's spurts of separation, but there's not a clear, defined just guy who is separated from the rest. And that's not because of anything but them doing well. They're all doing well. And that's the healthiest a position group could be, and that's what we want for the entire team. And the best part about it, they've done a really good job handling that. Sometimes rooms get a little bit just unpleasant or selfish when it comes to that. They've done a good job. They've all had their share of carries and touches, and it's made them better. At the end of the day, that's what everyone has to acknowledge. The addition of talent, the having to compete for those touches has made everybody better. Whether someone likes it or doesn't like it, you got to admit it, man. When you're on edge, you're going to get the best out of somebody. We keep those guys on edge, and honestly, they got to keep running harder and tougher and stronger, secure the ball better, and they know tomorrow we're going to be all over their butts about that. So.
I was listening to a discussion the other day on quarterback play, and the point was being made about quarterbacks today. If all else, just be a point guard, distribute the ball. And I look at Tyler Van Dyke, you don't see point guard body, but 70% completion in every game, spreading the ball around, Restrepo, Jacoby George, Colby Young, Parrish out of the backfield, McCormick hits him. And then you look at it and say, well, yeah, just like a point guard, he's connecting 70% or more in every single game.
Mm-hmm. And he's going to keep getting better, and you could tell he has ownership in the system.
Right.
And you've seen him pull the ball as well, so now people have to prepare for him taking off of the football too. Actually hit 20.4 miles per hour, which is for him is a high. So Tyler is a guy that, again, when you go through a rough season like last year and you just put your foot in the ground, you make a decision to come back and make things right, and then take ownership of an offense like he has. I mean, it doesn't speak; it screams volumes, and he has done that. And he is decisive. He's getting the ball out to the right guy on the right spot, extremely accurate, on time. And again, we feel his best football's ahead of him.
Coach, Jaden Harris has come a long way since this summer. I mean, but you just start the season, look what he's accomplished. Go through some of the things that you're seeing in him.
There's a guy that you saw the skill set and would blow away all GPS records, right? Super fast, strong, explosive, great human being. Smart, and there was always a bit of hesitation in his game, right? And so as coaches, what we always have to realize, you've got to build real confidence, not, words and fake toughness or whatnot. You've got to, through repetition, through understanding of the game, through teaching and coaching, and then actually doing it, gain confidence. Right now, that is a really, really confident, productive football player. And his teammates are out of this world fired up for him because they know the caliber of human being and teammate that he is, and they know that he's going to continue to get better as well. And there's a guy that you can fully depend upon, right, to play. So he's for us, we consider him like a starter, and he's earned that, and super proud of him, and fired up for us as an organization because of what he's going to be bringing to the table.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll talk more about Georgia Tech coming up. But first, time now for our Kia High Performance Play of the Week. Brought to you by Kia and Colby Young, Don, against Temple. How about this magnificent catch going off of one leg, a superhuman play.
He gets airborne, Joe, but also locates the goal line while he is in flight, makes sure that he gets across it, and let's thank Henry Parrish for doing that blitz pickup that allowed the play to happen.
Such a tough matchup, a guy that wins the ball in the air.
Yeah, he does an excellent job, again, as I mentioned, locating it, but look, two hands, making sure that he's going to bring it down and put points on the board for his Miami Hurricanes.
Colby Young, a touchdown maker, and our high performance moment presented by Kia. Hard Rock Stadium, 8 o'clock kickoff. Great to be home. Great to have a night game. Going to have a Miami Knights game. Team is going to wear a different uniform. We'll get into Georgia Tech in a moment because they've been a thorn to the University of Miami. The overall series, history of the series, Miami leads it by only one game. But first, home game, a little bit of different color in the uniforms and all that. But home game at night should be great.
It should be awesome. Our guys love playing at night, love playing at home. The Rock has become a thing. You know what I mean? Playing at home, it's meant that much more, and it's going to continue to mean more and more. And it's all about the way that we play, and it's got to show in the way that we play that it always means more to us. So we're looking forward to it, looking forward to the preparation that goes with it.
Coach, Georgia Tech is coming off a loss. Unfortunately for them, they lost to Bowling Green, but they've got a quarterback in Haynes King who is having an exceptional year. He was out at Texas A&M last year, transferred in, but he's a big part of, if they're going to become more successful, he's a big part of it.
Yeah, outstanding football player. I recruited him extremely hard when I was at Oregon, and he does it all, right? Phenomenal arm, accurate, gets the ball out on time, decisive, could take off and hurt you, and with his feet as well, can extend plays. Really dangerous, can get out of the pocket, break, contain, and make those throws down the field on the run, which makes him dangerous. And he understands the offense extremely well. They're operating at a high clip, scoring a lot of points. One of the best offenses in our conference as of right now. But he's complemented by some really good players. Georgia Tech did a great job in the portal, securing some big-time explosive playmakers. They're big up front on offense, on defense. Look, I get it. People are going to try to point at their last game, which I know they're not happy with. I point out the reality. 2 weeks ago, they absolutely dominated the game against Wake Forest.
At Wake Forest.
At Wake Forest, yeah. A team that, they were averaging I don't know how many sacks. These guys prevented them from getting any sacks. And I look at them with a pass. I look at maybe a 10, 12 game sample size. This is the same team that beat Duke last year. This is the same team that beat North Carolina, the Coastal champion, last year. Same thing with Pitt. So we know how good they are, what they're capable of, and we're looking forward to playing our best football.
One of the things that jumped out to me was their defensive line. Bigger is 6'6", Scott is 6'4", Harris is 6'4", Kennard, who had 5 sacks in that Wake Forest game, is 6'5". They get their hands up. It's like a basketball team. So maybe a two-part question. One, their size, how does that affect things with the batted balls? And two, what does Tyler have to do to avoid that?
Well, you've got to be accountable for how powerful and how explosive they are up front, because they cause negative plays. They've done a great job batting down some balls as well. Their linebackers get downhill in a hurry. They'll run you down, but they'll also thump you inside the box. These guys are talented guys. And in the secondary, they do a lot of stuff now. They'll bring corner fire, and I get it. I know they've had a coordinator change, but they've shown that they can do a lot, with their secondary, with their linebackers, the multiple fronts that they show to try to confuse offensive lines from, being on point with their blocking schemes. Just all in all, just a very challenging scheme on both sides of the ball. And again, it's conference play. It's playoff football. Mm-hmm. And we told our team that when you're in conference play, that is every single game is a playoff game, and you've got to be at your best.
Receiver-wise, they've imported some guys as well through the portal, but also, Blaylock last week had 7 catches for 131 yards. Pretty big day.
No doubt. They spread you out really well, and they could run by you. And in terms of contested catches, they've done a great job fighting for the ball. They do. They track the ball really well. They've got great balance and body control. They've come down with some really, really big plays. And week 1, they could very well be undefeated in conference play. Week 1, the game got away from them at the end also. So, again, looking forward to playing our best game.
You're coming off a bye, so you would think your guys are going to be excited. As you mentioned, they're coming off a tough loss, so they're going to want to get right back at it. Do you put any stock into getting off to a good start in this game? And how important is a good start in this game?
Those are always things you want to do. The most important is in our opinion, is to make sure that you're practicing at the highest level you could possibly practice. That your preparation up to the game and through the game is at the highest level you could possibly have. And that you go there with a lot of juice and a lot of energy. If you watch college football around the country, teams that come out flat, well, they're fighting for their lives in the second half, or they're losing, Teams that are waiting too long to get going, well, that doesn't work out well either. And teams that come out and play fast and at a high level and that know their schemes really well, they have success. We want to be that team consistently. So it's one of our goals. We want to be just completely addicted to getting better, and we feel like we're headed that way.
Coach, you're that way off the field too. I know Jessica Lopez helps you with the academics, and there's a lot of people involved, but you are not going to settle for a player being great in one phase or the other. If you're great on the field, you're going to be great in the classroom, and vice versa.
Well, we like to emphasize always one culture and alignment with the entire program. And when you think about, all right, rebuilding a championship program, you want to make sure everything's in alignment, right? Your strength room, your training room, compliance department, academics, administration, football, community service part, all those things have to be in alignment, right? One culture. How you do anything is how you do everything you do, and Jessica Lopez is a star, an absolute star, because she's a hammer when it comes to academics. But she does inspire high academic achievement, the importance of being a great student and how that applies to life and everything else that goes with it in the future. So she's done a great job. We've had a massive turnaround in our highest GPA that we've had in our schools, in our football programs history, and the amount of guys that are already have achieved their bachelor's diploma, on their way to their master's, or are close to getting theirs, is an astonishing number. And that speaks volumes of, again, the identity of the academic department here at the University of Miami.
I want to pick up on what you also just said about we want to be addicted to getting better. And I would think in the recruiting world, when you talk about that to moms and dads, they would say, yeah, that's where I want my son to be. I want them to get better all the time. That's all you can ask. In the evaluation of different players or prospective players, how do you find that? How do you go through all those things?
Well, I mean, they could say that, but you really can't talk your way into that. I mean, it's got to show. It's got to show in their actions and their habits. It's got to show in their style of play. Do you really want to get better? I mean, when we pop by your school and it's the off season, are you in there grinding with your guys in the weight room, or are you outside, horsing around and just kind of letting the time pass by? So we take a deep dive into that, because the intangibles are just as important as the tangibles. The vertical jump, the 40, right, the bench press, all that stuff. That's great, but what type of competitor is that young man, and what type of achiever is he? A high achieving mentality guy? Because if you have that, that's contagious. That really kind of nurtures itself and the rest of the guys in the locker room, and that's what we're looking for. And we relentlessly pursue that, and we want to fill the locker room at every single seat, every single locker with that type of person.
Coach, give us an overview of special teams. Go back to the Temple game. That was a tough environment for any special teams group, no matter which one it was, but came out of it successful. But how you make progress in that, and how players work their way on to being a starter on special teams.
Yeah, well, we really hurt ourselves week 2, against Texas A&M. I mean, could have really put us in a bad situation. And they were really simple, routine plays that we allowed ourselves to botch, right? So what does that mean? We didn't coach with enough intensity. It didn't mean enough to our organization. That's the only way you could explain it. You can't point a finger at a guy and pull that kind of stuff. That don't work. So the rededication, commitment, intensity, and passion behind coaching special teams has taken a drastic step. And the way we rep things in practice, especially as it relates to technique and fundamentals and awareness, and at the speed that we do, we've allowed ourselves to work 3 units, right? 3 different levels of depth at each unit, I should say, so that we have legitimate competition there as well, right? And that's one of the best ways to get on the field early as a freshman. And not to mention, it does teach you and help you learn and adjust to the speed of the game, all right? If you can do it on special teams, it's going to translate well over to offense and defense. So we've really ramped up the amount of competition at every position that we have on our special teams units.
By the way, every kid wants to play in the NFL. You want to play in the NFL, figure out how to play in special teams. You make a lifetime on special teams. Before we let you go, Cam Kitchens, how do you feel about him and his progress going into this game?
Feel great about it. He looks great. You can tell he looks great because the offense has that much of a tougher time in practice. But his leadership and everything that comes with that, and because we always speak about his football ability and how he changes the game, but it needs to be mentioned what he does for this community as well. I mean, he is, the epitome of what you want to recruit here in South Florida, right? Guys that are complete just ballers, difference makers on the field and off the field in the community. They're just as big of a difference maker, and that's what he is, and that's what all these guys that are coming now are. That's what they represent, and it's awesome to see. It's awesome to have him back and around, and he's still in great shape. He didn't lose anything conditioning wise. He's ready to roll, so we're excited to have him back.
All right, 8 o'clock on Saturday night, Georgia Tech comes here, and I think the fans are going to be ready. I think they're going to be ready to have their voices heard on Saturday night for your team.
Absolutely, man. Pack the rock the rock, right? Let's get it going. Let's have a great environment. Let's go play our best football.
All right, Coach, thank you very much.
Appreciate you. Go Canes.
University of Miami head coach Mario Cristobal will continue on the show right after this. Welcome back to the Mario Cristobal Show, presented by Kia. Joe Zagacki alongside Don Bailey Jr., Miami and Georgia Tech on Saturday night, 8 o'clock kickoff. Canes have been really good, 4-0. Miami's been running the football. That'll be a big key.
Well, Joe, that's going to be the key from here on out. And I think maybe for the history of the University of Miami, while head coach Mario Cristobal is with us. And he is adamant about running the football, and they have made a decision to run it as good as anybody in the country, and they are.
He said Cam Kitchens will be back. That will be important because this team, Georgia Tech, likes to throw the deep ball.
Well, Cam Kitchens last year, 3 takeaways, 3 interceptions in that game, 1 pick six, probably secured his spot as an All-American. But I like the fact that Cam Kitchens is here and bringing leadership.
Okay, for Don Bailey Jr. and University of Miami head coach Mario Cristobal, I'm Joe Zagacki. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week right here on the Mario Cristobal Show.